Good morning. Welcome on this wonderful rainy day. Okay, I didn't hit it, and I cannot hide behind it because Clay put it up. But I'm so happy to be here. Hello online. And we are going to have a wonderful talk. It is a continuation of the talk from A New Dawn, and now we're talking about a new life, or a new day, or a new anything that Ernest Holmes says we can create. When I was driving up here today, I was reading the Science of Mind textbook. Occasionally, I like to just open it and see what Spirit has for me. And the one thing that popped out to me was there is a creative intelligence in the world, and it knows or has or provides everything that you will ever need, desire, or hope for. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, that in itself is enough to fill us up. He follows it with, if you work it, if you believe in it, if you have a sustained amount of faith that it will always provide, because it is you. And so we have to develop this sense of confidence in ourselves. And that's basically where we're going today, is just talking about some different situations, what they might look like, and some wisdom that Spirit has provided. But first, I have a joke, as always. All right, here we go. So a little girl asked her mother, "Where did people come from?" Her mother answered, "God made Adam and Eve, and they had children, and that's how mankind was made." A couple of days later, she asked her father the same question. The father answered, "Many years ago, there were monkeys, which the human race evolved from." The confused little girl returned to her mother and said, "Mommy, how is it possible that you told me we were created by God, and Daddy said we came from monkeys?" The mother answered, "Well, dear, this is very simple. I told you about my side of the family, and your father is telling you about his." That one got you. See, they're getting better. Okay, this weather has my nose just changing seasons from Phoenix to Prescott, so excuse me. But I love that joke. I thought it was funny, and I usually test him on Bill, and he'll go, "You can't read that one. No, you can't do that one. No, but it's funny. No. And then I read this one, he was like, "Yes, that's the one. All right, so during our discussion 2 Sundays ago, we delved into the transformation influence of Science of Mind, shedding light on pathways that lead to the potential of a new dawn. Today, in that same light, we're following these principles, and that becomes a catalyst for a new life. I don't really think we need a new life. I think we like to reinvigorate the life that we have. But in the essence of following the Science of Mind corporate ship, that's what they wanted me to talk about today. But anyways, in our ongoing conversations, we continue to explore the 3 points, and 3 and 4 points of 6, aiming to further our understanding that these situations identify opportune moments to deploy the tools we teach. So I don't know about you, but sometimes when life is going crazy and I, in my spiritual self, and I want to be a better person, and I'm like, what was it? What was I supposed to say to myself? This person's like yelling at me, or things aren't going wrong, or the toddler's rolling around on the floor screaming, and you're like, I can't remember what I was supposed to say to calm myself down. And sometimes those moments get the best of us, and it's okay because it's part of life. But we do have tools here, and we want you to use them. And sometimes they come to us after the situation, so better late than never is totally fine. Sometimes it's okay to let the situation that you're encountering unfold, and then we can look back at it in retrospect and then apply the principle, because sometimes it's really hard to fall into that space of self-forgiveness if we are encountering a really difficult moment in our lives. We have to give ourselves grace and some self-forgiveness, and we're all on this path. We're all journeying together. We all have different situations, but the one thing that is the same for all of us is that we are that creative intelligence, and And as a human being, we can use it, and it can fulfill the life of our dreams. So Ernest Holmes says this: we have within us a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer. A power that can overcome every obstacle in our life and set us free, and set us safe, and satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous. So this creative intelligence can set us safe, it can set us free, it can help us to be satisfied and settled with peace. It can heal us, and it can provide abundance and prosperity. And in a new light and in a new life, it can show up and give us direction. So this is such a beautiful thing, because Ernest Holmes, he was one of the, he just was a new thought thinker, and he delved in and understand the mental, physical, and emotional, and he understood how they line up and how life comes for us. And he wanted very much for people to realize that your life is in your control, and that what you believe is what you see. And that's why I have a different version of life, and you have a different version of life, and I may like someone and you may not, because we're all acting from the conscious and unconscious bias of our life. Right? And if you believe in past lives, maybe this life and many other. Because sometimes something will happen and I'll go, where did that come from? And someone will go, well, it must have been something you encountered in your lifetime. And I'm like, I don't think so. And then, we kind of get these ideas, because the more you study, the more teachers you read, the more open you become, a lot of these ideas come to us, and they always fall at our feet when we need them, whether we consider them to be good or not so good. Everything that we are encountering in our lives is for us. It is to create the life that you so deeply desire. So we talked about, I just closed my paper. We talked about 1 and 2. So 1 we went over, right? It was perfection unveiled. 2 was awakening possibilities. And 3 is mindful creation of thought, which is, in essence, creating a new life. So if we look at a scenario that we might perceive as negative, just imagine a person who habitually gets up and engages in negative self-talk, constantly perceives the shortcomings and failures of their life. This thought pattern contributes to a cycle of low self-esteem and anxiety, affecting various aspects of our life. So I don't know about you, but I don't get up every morning in a good mood. And especially when I haven't had any sleep and I've woken up at 2, 5, midnight 2 and 5 to feed a new baby. And Bill's like, did you get the bottle? And I'm like, no, I didn't get the bottle. You get the bottle. And, your life happens. We signed up for this and we have to do it, but that doesn't mean it's always fun, right? It doesn't. And so then the negative self-talk can start, like, why did I do it? And the victim can come out, poor me, somebody come watch the baby so I can sleep. And, things happen, and sometimes they're deeper than that, and sometimes they're surface level. But what this really may look like in someone's life is an individual struggling with self-doubt, who wakes up anticipating the day's failures. I remember a time in my life where I would wake up anticipating the day's failures. I don't really know where I got that from or how it was bred in my life. I'm sure somewhere down my family lineage and DNA or something like that. But it is a very painful way to live when you are waking up anticipating the things that will go wrong instead of really talking to Spirit about what could go right. And when you start talking about what could go right, do you know what happens? Things go right. They're still unfolding in the same way they did before, but your perception of them has changed, right? The way you view it, the way you internalize it, the way you interpret it, the way you perceive it. All of these things change when we get up and we look at and have a positive mental attitude. And I do understand that those, depending on the level of suffering that you may be going through, or the circumstance that could be harder to just get up and go, hey, happy day, everything's gonna be A-okay. No, it's not always that easy, because sometimes life really does throw us some very, very difficult things. But the one thing that I can assure you is that we're all going through something. And if we pause for a moment and even just turn off the voice, don't try to have a good day. Just recognize what's going on, and intuit in the stillness that the creative intelligence of life has got you. It has had you since the day that you were born, and it is always here for you. It is never against you, and it holds the answer. So the antidote for a negative mental attitude, I told you before, I don't really like the mental attitude, but an angst, when we wake up with an angst because life is difficult, there's an antidote. And when we acknowledge the power of thoughts in shaping our reality intentionally, we can choose a positive and empowering statement, right? So we say, yes, this morning's difficult. My boss is this, my husband's that, the baby's crying, I lost my job, I don't have a house. I had someone call me recently, and they don't know where they're gonna get next month's rent from. And it's so hard to hear that, because Tracey immediately wants to go, I'll write you a check, but I'm not your source, right? I'm not the source I can't be the source to everyone. So what we have to do is we have to teach to center. We have to teach with conviction that the universe is for you and that this is a difficult time. But because rent isn't due until the 1st, we have time to seed it in prayer. We have time to call forth what we need. We have time to tighten up our faith. We have time to write a mantra. We have time. And sometimes that day is the next day, and that could be even scarier. But the one thing that I know is, even if you don't have the rent to pay or it didn't show up, that a way can be made. It can be made. And what we have to do is stand on that conviction like we eat chocolate cake. Right? We have to stand on that conviction like we like a good spare rib. I was writing this and I was just thinking about, eating a good spare rib and how you anticipate going to the restaurant and the barbecue sauce is dripping off your finger, and like you want that, cake and ribs and ice cream and whatever. Or if you're vegan and you like a good vegetable dish, whatever you dream about. But you have such conviction in the things of your life, in your desires. You have such conviction when you want a new iPad or a car or a house or a job. We have to have that same conviction when we are asking Spirit to provide something that we initially don't believe we can have. Of course, that's going to make you wake up nervous and anxious. I wake up anxious a lot. I have 2 new kiddos, a big responsibility with the church. I want to support my husband with his job. There's a lot of life going on. And what I do, I go find my chair that I have set aside. My teacher, Rebe, says, just get a chair, a normal kitchen chair. You sit in it every day, and you say, I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. And it is enough for Spirit to provide. I remember a time where I would say, who am I for Spirit to show up with $1,500 to pay who am I? And I am here to remind you, who are you? Who are you? And you have to answer that question. So you can start a daily practice when there's time of mindfulness. So going back to the chair, when you sit in your chair every day, you cyclically build energy in that chair. You build psychic energy, and it's best to maybe turn the chair around or put it in a corner when someone comes over, because we don't want their psychic energy messing with yours, right? But he would say, just turn it around and gently, put books there so somebody won't sit down. And every day you have a mantra, you have something that elevates your mental attitude, even if for a moment, and you sit in that chair and you close your eyes, and in the stillness, you dive in. You dive into the deepest part of yourself. You dive into the love that you are. You dive in with an enthusiasm and an anchoring and commitment. And you even can ask God, the universe, to prove it to you. And just wait. And if you can't start with something big, start with something small. I heard Abraham Hicks talk about a blue feather. Just start with a blue feather. A penny. Who doesn't look down and see a penny? Everybody looks down and sees a penny. So we really have to grasp that this is your life, and that life is this life right now. And that life is in your control, from your viewpoint, from your mental attitude. And you are the spark of the universe. And you know what? When things are going wrong, I have a mentor, her name's Reverend Cheryl, and I don't call her when things are going wrong anymore, because you know what she says? Wake up! And I'm like, no, I just want to cry. No, Tracey, no. That's what she says. And she's like, what is going on right now? Have you forgotten? Have you forgotten who you are? And I'll go, I guess so. I'm really sad. And she always just challenges me. And sometimes I don't want to hear it when she's telling me, but that never changes her. She's like, then don't call me. Call me when you're ready to hear your truth, and I will tell it to you. And at the same token, I should be fair to her, she is very empathetic and compassionate, but she never lets me get away with my victim, ever. And it drives me crazy. But I love her, and I've stuck with her. And the very first time I met her, when I was taking foundations for the 4th time, she said, and I'd never met her before, and I said, oh, you're so intriguing. I think Spirit sent you to me. And she goes, oh, I kick butts. I don't think you want any of me. And I was like, well, that makes me want you more. So we became very good friends, and we would get out of class at 9 o'clock, and then we would go up to the IHOP and sit there till 5 a.m. because I wasn't working, and part of my victim was I can't find a job, I don't have any money, we're losing our house, my dog died, whatever. And she would sit there with me until 5 a.m. teaching me the truth of my being. And I am so grateful she did, because I'm standing here today. And my husband often goes over and does things for her. And, I could never repay her, but he's kind of like the person that all of the people from my old center call, and he fixes all their stuff. And he was there this weekend, and she was like, is that Tracey on the phone? And Bill's like, yeah. And she's like, where are you, boo? That's what she goes, like, where are you, boo? You need to come see me. And I go, you have taught me to stand so well that I love you, but I don't necessarily need you anymore. And she goes, you will. Yeah, she's right, you will. And that's okay, because what she meant was she will be there to lift me and hold me, and that's what we provide for each other here. So the mantra for this is, my thoughts shape my reality. I choose thoughts of positivity, empowerment, and gratitude. Today, my mind creates a harmonious and fulfilling experience. My mind, your mind creates it. What you feed it is what you get. If you want something different, I don't know, stop watching Criminal Minds, right? If you want a happier life, watch, I don't know, I've been watching Bluey. I have no TV anymore. My son, he's like, and you know what happens when they get 2? They start to talk more, and they listen to everything you say, and they repeat it back. I was putting Luke to bed last night, and typically we like to try to give him perceived choices, and we'll say, Tangled or Hercules. And he will go motorcycle racing. And I'm like, no, because he thinks that's YouTube. That's what he calls YouTube. And we're trying to get him away from YouTube. And I'll go, no, Tangled or Hercules. And he'll go, motorcycle racing. So last night we were trying to put him to bed, and I go, you have to get off the floor and get into bed. And he goes, bed or floor? And I go, And then it tells you something, right? If this 2-year-old can hear something and repeat it back to you and believe it is his own, so can you. So can you. You can do it. And then, so this is really, really what we're talking about today is you create your life with your thoughts. And that's what makes it so beautiful. So harnessing the creative power within. Here's a scenario. So consider an individual who doubts their ability to achieve their goals. That's me. Dismissing their own creative power. The skepticism hampers their efforts, and as they hesitate to take necessary actions and visualize success hindering their manifestation of their aspirations. So what could this look like? A person with unfulfilled dreams wakes up every day expecting obstacles to achieving their goals, doubts their creative abilities, and prevents them from taking steps towards realizing their aspirations. Well, the science of mind principle for that is the law of mind in action. So the mind is an instrument through which we direct universal energy. Right? So when I was going through ministerial school, it was a lot of, I don't want to write another paper. I hate it. That was before ChatGPT, by the way. I'm like, but I just couldn't, I didn't know I was dyslexic. So I kept asking the universe to show me why I was struggling so much because I knew I was intelligent. And I went to this retreat and I met Iman, who was in ministerial school, and he gave this beautiful presentation on dyslexia. And I sat there with Dr. Kathy Hearn, and the tears just, nobody had ever described my life the way I had seen it on that screen. I thought I really, you could have pinched me. I cried so hard because nobody, when I talk about my life, I couldn't express what I had experienced or how I felt. And he did it in this presentation, and my whole life changed. I began to forgive myself for not really being able to stand in front of the classroom and go 2 times 2, 4 times 4, 6 times. I couldn't think that fast. And I thought about all the times that I felt embarrassed and ashamed that I wasn't as smart as everybody else. And this carried over into my adulthood, and although and it made me become an overachiever and a perfectionist, which I'm still working on. You might run into that, Tracey, every now and then. What I'm saying here is there are circumstances in our life, a lot of them from our youth, that have created who we are today. But it doesn't matter because the past is not a precedent for who you are today. With the unveiling of that to me by Spirit, I didn't even need to go get diagnosed or tested or anything. I already knew what I had. It was so wonderful to see it on the screen so I could understand it and myself better. Ernest Holmes, the great teacher, Jesus, Buddha, whoever, know thyself. Know thyself means to really inquire into your personality and stop making judgments about who you are and look at the reality of life as it's unfolding and apply the universal principles to what's unfolding, not what you believe about what is unfolding, right? That right, wrong, good, bad, those opposites, that's the life, that's the planet that we're on, that's how things unfold. But what I recognized is I don't have to put it in a box anymore. I don't have to label it right or wrong. I can just look at it for what it is and try to make a goal from the law of mind and action. I can recognize, here's the antidote, recognize the creative power of the mind to manifest my desires and goals, and you can too. Standing here is a manifestation of a goal. And it took quite some time and a lot of fits, but I did it. And you could do it too. Raising a 2-year-old is, somewhere inside of me, I must have wanted that for him to show up. Somewhere inside of that, I must have wanted a new baby for that to show up. And I said yes to it because Spirit asked me. And I'm inviting you to say yes to what shows up. But, just make sure it's for you. Because if it's for you, then it's for what you're doing. And everything will unfold, and you'll be so surprised. And of course, most of you already know this. And if you don't, I'm here to remind you. That's just simple as it is. The mantra, I apologize. So what you can do to put the law of mind in action is create a vision board with images and words that represent your goals and desires. Spend time visualizing the achievement of these goals daily, reinforcing the creative power of your mind. You have to prove it to yourself. Just like the feather, the penny, the baby, whatever. You have to prove it to yourself. No one can prove it to you. You can take as many classes as you want with, this beautiful teacher, Hazel or Sandy, or all the practitioners or Reverend Tracey. But ultimately, if you do not experience through your own life the change that you wish to have, it will never be real to you. It will always be someone telling you. And you will, and also the creative power and proving it to yourself through experience seeds your faith, deepens your faith. So the mantra, I am the creator of my reality. My mind is a powerful instrument, and today I consciously direct its energies towards manifesting my goals and desires. Yes, because I thought maybe I messed that up. Maybe I did. Nope, I got it. Okay, sometimes you get confused scrolling on the screen. But those are the mantras. And we have 2 more points in this talk that we're going to go through. And then I'm going to publish this like I told you, so you could read the scenarios. You can find yourself in it in any way that you want. I don't know about you, but your life experiences are different than mine. But we all have very similar things as to the way we do them. And then you can have this as a reference, and you can have some mantras, and you can have the activities to go to help you change the mental attitude. And if you have a great mental attitude, guess what? There's always room to get better, because who doesn't want more joy? And joy brings abundance, and abundance brings fun. And what fun brings is the thing that we're all looking for anyway, happiness. Your natural state is happiness. And if you really evaluate why you come here, why you take a class, why you want a car, a house, a job, a family, a boyfriend, because it makes us feel good. And when we feel good, we live good. And that is our natural state. And if we're not getting it, it's because we just have a belief that isn't aligned with what you want. And we're here to help you flesh them out. That is the beauty of our philosophy, is we get you on track. We take you from where you are to where you're going, and then we set you free to do it in any way you want. So in closing, we conclude that exploration, and then next week we'll talk more. But let's just embrace the profound impact of science of mind principles in creating a new life. In the light of our discussion, we recognize the potential for positive transformation and the empowerment to navigate through various situations. Moving forward, let us remain mindful of these principles, ready to deploy them. Call a friend, phone a friend, carry the textbook around, just follow that intuition. And when it comes, follow it, because the teacher shows up in various forms. It's really a beautiful thing that we do here. I am so deeply grateful every time I get to research a talk, because I learn so much for myself, and I get to share with you my life. So these principles will guide us forward, fill us with possibilities, give us a renewed sense of hope and purpose. And I really do thank you for joining us on the journey of self-discovery. May you be blessed. May your families be blessed. May this community, this beautiful Prescott, and moving out into the world, and we just know that divine right action is working for everyone, everywhere. Namaskar.